how's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Dream Attack with us, and they can say their names and what they do in the band.
Hi, I'm Chase. I play guitar rhythmically and am one of the vocalists.
I'm Matt. I am also one of the vocalists, and I play guitar.
I'm Zach, and I play drums.
And I'm Scott. I play bass and sing sometimes.
Awesome. Well, I've had Scott on three times now, and I've had Chase on. No, I've had Scott on twice because he was in another band, and
That's right.
then I've had Chase on one other time, and so things have changed since the last time we have spoken. You went through a name change, a lineup change, all that good stuff. So why don't you tell the people what's been going on since? Like, I think it was 3 years ago, right? It's got to be.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, we have a stable oh my, fire trucks. Sorry, I'm going to close these windows to try to... I'm in South Philly right now, y'all. So yeah, we, have... This is probably our most stable lineup. Everyone is like, no one is moving or anything like that, and everyone's happy, I think, with you know what I'm saying, with the band now. And I feel really, really great. Like, I love everybody. You know what I'm saying? These people are extremely some of the most important people to me, and I think I do believe it's the puzzle pieces all just fit, So we've been recording an album for the past year, and it's kind of on hold right now because of the whole situation, but like we're, probably like 85% done tracking or something like that.
There you go. Well, I guess the seminary question is, because obviously I've known Matt and Scott, so how did you come in contact with Zach, basically, and how did that all facilitate? Because obviously, like I said, I've known Matt and Scott for such a long time. At this point, It just feels so familiar to me. So I don't know anything about Zach, so tell me what's good.
So, they were at my house, like, what was this, maybe 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2015.
Is that when we met?
Middle of 2015, yeah.
Yeah. They came to my house for a house show, and was that the one that you played?
I believe so.
Yes, Collector played.
First time I met you was,
Yeah,
sorry.
and it was fantastic, and Collector is fantastic, and I think it just came up in conversation that like that Zach was a drummer too, and like we had already like just found Dom as our drummer, and I was like, oh man, like that would have been a really cool, like, you know what I mean, like fit. We were kind of like jiving on Linkin Park or something. I think I was playing Hybrid Theory in the background, and Zach was like, oh, this fucking slaps, and I'm like, yeah, it does. And then I think like after Dom left to pursue wrestling, which is actually pretty cool, I do believe I contacted Zach, and Zach, I think you mentioned you were moving back to Philly or like the area or something like that, and it kind of just like lined up really perfectly.
Yeah, 3 years later.
Right, you were moving back into the area, and we needed a drummer, and Zach didn't hesitate. And it was, then the magic just like, it just happened. And years later, here we are now.
There we go. The next thing, guys, I guess the most important thing, since you've kind of taken some time away, you have a full length you're working on. So, how obviously the process is a little halted now at this point, but, what can kind of people expect from the new record that you guys have working on? And have you gone through kind of a sound change since the last time we had spoken? Because I know you guys were running under the name GSD prior to this. So, do you feel like the musical, things have changed over the course of, 3 years pretty much?
Yeah, so we had 2 name changes within that time.
I remember GSD. That was the last one I remember.
Yes. And then we turned into Heavenward for a little bit, but we didn't really release anything new under that, I don't believe. Like, it was the same EP that we had put out, which was like, it was a lot more, I would say, stripped down's not really the word. It was just more I mean, like concise of an EP. It was pretty like it was like kind of meant to be played like live. Like I guess that's where my head was at when I was like thinking about what direction I wanted that to be in. But since then, the music is going to be like heavier than that. Like not that we didn't have heavy elements on that EP, but I think I'm like embracing more the stuff that I like really really grew up with and want to explore. Like, and it just feels like, you know, true to that. And then it's going to be a lot more like dense and like I've been listening. We've all been listening to a lot of like space rock, like in the past few years since we released that EP. So we're gonna adopt a lot of that like density and like production value that comes with that world. So,
Anybody else want to add to that?
I think that's pretty spot on. The EP was very straightforward, like Chase said. There wasn't a lot of like special effects for any guitars. It was just very much just overdriven, and then like that's kind of it. And I would say this new stuff has lots of layers to it. Callbacks to a lot of stuff that we listened to from like the 90s and
the
some
80s and stuff.
synth parts, yeah, and it's just like a whole new vibe, I think.
Yeah. Also, Matt sings this time.
Oh yeah. We added that.
It's not quite like a 50-50 split just yet. I kind of want to move in that direction.
And then we'll
Matt
see.
has, like,
We'll see who the fans like more, and then the next album will be strictly that person.
exactly. It's literally Jimmy World's like first record. That's like what happened. Like it was split between Jim and Tom. And then I guess the record label was like, why don't you just stick to one song a record or something like that? So, you know what I mean? You'll know after this record's out who gets shunned.
There you go. Well, you can vote for either Matt or Chase by dialing this number, which will appear on the screen. You vote 1 for Chase, you vote 1 for Matt. Somebody's getting eliminated from Dream Attack, so
Right.
choose carefully. Votes will be tallied for the next week, so make sure you get
We're taking calls, right?
taking calls. Yeah, you gotta
Can I
you
vote?
gotta vote. You got to vote now. If you
Yeah,
you miss
the
out
loser-
on this opportunity, then you're missing out on an opportunity of a lifetime to kick a member out of a band. I mean, come on. That's
Well, no, the loser's just gonna get their mouth sewn shut.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I can co-sign that, but that would be very interesting. But no, seriously, I do appreciate like when bands kind of switch off between vocalists. I always like, that's something that I've always kind of grown up with, like listening to this type of music and stuff. And like, I love Jimmy World too. But I feel like a lot of their music has kind of evolved over time, just with their 2 vocalists and stuff. So I'm very excited to hear what you guys have got, coming up. But I guess more specifically, who are you all influenced by individually? We can kind of go through the ranks, and people can tell me what's up.
Right. Well, I find that we overlap on a lot of things, and I think that's kind of like I think that's kind of like obviously what unifies us is like we have like very, you know what I mean, a lot of the big ones are like very common, like even when you think big, like the Blink-182s and the Linkin Parks and the Jimmy Worlds, like we all like vibe with that kind of thing. And I think like specifically like bands like Jimmy World will always be like in the DNA of like all of our stuff. But personally, I have been diving like, I guess like the past year was like a lot of like new wave, which I still listen to, like Depeche Mode and The Cure and stuff like that. But more recently, I've been diving back into like hardcore and hardcore punk, which is kind of like what I grew up with. Anywhere from like 13 to like 16, or I guess early then, maybe 12 to whatever. But just like getting my toes back into that world, there's a lot of interesting bands doing like interesting stuff that I'm like really fascinated by. Specifically, like I tend to focus like backwards more when I look into like music and when I'm trying to do deep dives in genres. And I've been listening to a lot of like Integrity and like Snapcase, just like kind of like the 90s hardcore I like a lot. Because it's very like chunky, and it kind of fit. It was the natural evolution. Like it goes into that whole like post-hardcore era of like Quicksand and Helmet, which we all love a lot too. So I was just kind of like taking a few steps back to see the evolution.
There we go. Anybody else want to go?
I've been really into like nightcore recently, and also, but I mean, for the most part, yeah, like my hardcore roots lie more like in the early 2000s era, like Have Heart and like the Ruiner and Verse and all that kind of like more melodic hardcore that seemed a little bit closer to punk than it did like the more metal-y kind of chuggy stuff. But
yeah, that was really popular then.
I love that shit. But yeah, I mean, I love heavy music, but I also like that soft shit, that bedroom shit. So
hell yeah, baby.
I don't know.
Matt or Scott?
Yeah, I think I remember being changed by music by Failure. I remember listening to it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Jason Scott put it on in the car. Oh, he's got the shirt on.
We all just started sweating. We're like, oh my god.
We were driving to Connecticut to meet up with one of my friends, and it was for some reason otherworldly to me that you could like make that kind of music. And so from that moment on, I think that kind of defined like what I would always want to play. So Failure, Hum, I really liked like Jawbox, and also just like general grunge. I know Nirvana comes to most people's mind, but there's also like a ton of bands from the 90s that could be considered grunge that I really enjoy. So generally that type of music is stuff that I'm really inspired by, and if I ever have to write like a lead and it's just kind of like can be whatever, it'll sometimes, most of the times, be dissonant, and then Chase will be like, "Nah, make it a little more harmonized." I'm like, all right, but it always starts off like that.
Right, but I think we've always found good middle ground between your style, like it's in with the song.
Scott?
Yeah, so, well, yeah, going back to Matt's point, obviously I have the Failure shirt on. I would say that band's definitely probably a big bass influence.
Oh my god, the tone.
Yeah, between like the heavy tone of Failure, like kind of between that and then, bands like New Order and Joy Division, we play more like the chorusy, like higher parts and that kind of stuff. So it's like kind of a blend of that, I feel like, for bass.
Yeah, that's going to show through a lot on the record too. Sorry to interrupt, but like we are very post-punk influenced too, and we wear it on our sleeve. It's very obvious, like when it pops up on the record too. So
yeah, that's the same kind of thing for me. I like a lot of the '80s pop kind of stuff, and then the heavy, like between the '80s pop, the '90s, Nirvana-esque or Nirvana adjacent bands, and then like the early 2000s, like kind of like early November-ish, or like American football before that. Like I feel like my kind of stuff gets compared to that a lot, so I guess I draw influence from that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are all like the staple kind of music, like musical influences for me too. And yeah, I feel like lately it's kind of funny. It's like, because I'm not really listening to music in the car anymore, so like I just pop music on like on my runs. And I feel like lately I've either been listening to Title Fight or my music. That's it.
Title Fight, baby.
But, I mean, it's all I've been like listening to lately. But yeah, like, but it's either that or like kind of like more chill, like folky stuff too. So it kind of fluctuates. But I feel like, yeah, definitely recently I feel like I've kind of been listening to stuff not as much for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the car rides is a big thing. I usually listen to music in the car. I like silence a lot, honestly. So silence, that's another thing I've been kind of,
Silence.
I've been into that. You should check out their first record.
It's really underrated.
Yeah, right. The first record hasn't ended yet.
It's the longest record of all time. So I mean, shout out
once
to
you got
Silence.
into space, that's all they play.
That's all they play. That's the best. Silence, the best band of all time. But that I do feel like a lot of your stuff, and since I feel like integrated with what you guys have been doing for a couple years now, it does feel like you guys pull from like kind of like old school emo to like, you know, like a lot of like melodic hardcore and like hardcore sort of influences. I feel like that more currently now than maybe with like past, you know, name changes and projects and stuff like that. But it does feel a little bit more apparent in that direction. So I'm kind of curious how you're gonna meld like space rock, hardcore, and emo all together in one amalgamation. You know, that's gonna be very interesting.
I hope you love it. That's all I can say.
Well,
I hope you love it as much as we love making it. So.
If you want to send it to me early, you know.
Yeah, I can literally. I will
the DMs
literally
are
when I
open.
get home tonight, I'll send you some
Leak it.
references.
Um,
Yeah, leak our rough mixes. We'll appreciate that very, very much.
But the next question, guys, a fun one. If you guys could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
Shit.
You know what's funny? So I have like a semi-jokey, semi-serious one. I think it's really stupid, but I was recently listening to this song and I was like, this is actually a good song and people fucking hate it. It's Blue by Eiffel 65.
Oh my god!
That song fucking hits.
It's got good parts to it. Like the
Dude,
the bass in it during the verses are actually pretty good. I'm sorry.
It's just hitting that constant note. It's like bum 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 bum. Yeah, and it's not hitting the octaves. Oh my
and
god!
it's like
so
really
good.
dissonant. Listen to it. Just go back, take a listen to it. The verse, it's like
Peel back the layers.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
The
I would
Italians
do
know
that.
what they're doing with dance music.
dude, you took me right back to the Radio Disney days. I used to call to put that like a request to have that song played.
Same.
And
I did
whenever
that same
yes,
shit.
play Blue, yes.
It was overplayed, which is why I think people don't like it. But if you listen to it musically, it's not bad. It's a pretty good song.
Wow.
I've done lots of remixes of that song.
That was an out of, no pun intended, out of the blue sort of answer. It was not
That was,
affecting-
I mean, it was in my head. It was the first thing that came to my head because I was
Oh.
thinking about it.
Dear Jesus. All right, anybody else?
I was thinking about well, because we've covered like quite a few songs in the past.
Yeah,
It's funny. I was listening to the Bombay Bicycle Club
Oh,
album
yeah.
recently and listening to Leave It. I was listening to that bass part. I'm like,
We didn't
that bass
cover
part's
that. Yeah,
really
that's great.
good. Yeah. So like, I feel like between that, I would definitely cover that again, or even what is it? The My Bloody Valentine song we covered.
Oh right, yeah. Which one was
I
that?
forget.
All I know is the opener to Loveless. I mean, no one knows the track names on that.
Yeah,
record.
I forget the name of it, but that one too. Like, I like playing that one a lot. I guess it's yeah. I think about the bass parts and like those bass parts are really fun to play.
I have always wanted to cover a praise chorus with this band. Always.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's a good one. So I was actually kind of thinking about that recently. Like, I feel like a lot of bands will kind of like take something that's like a popular song in the genre that people haven't like heard in a while, or like people aren't thinking about. Like, "The World Is a Beautiful Place" just did a Sunny Day Real Estate cover. I think it was In Circles. And it's really good, and like, you know what I mean. That's kind of like it's sometimes like you're like, wow, is that like an obvious choice, or like, you know what I'm saying? Did they just like blow my mind like by pulling like from something that's popular but we haven't thought about in a while? It's kind of the same reason we like the last show we played. We covered a Brain Stew, which was the first song I ever learned on any instrument, and that was really fun. Other than the technical difficulties, but I would actually. So my friend Paul suggested this, and I would genuinely think about it. "Unsung" by Helmet, like that was like their big like
That's a good song.
'90s single,
I like that
you
one.
know, and I think it would fit our vibe, and you know, it fits that kind of criteria where it was like really popular and people know the song, like if you know that's what they're into, and I think we can do it well.
There we
Done.
go. There we go. That's it. No.
Deal.
If you have any suggestions for Dream Attack, drop them
Please
in the
call
comments
right
below.
now.
Let them know. Comment. Enter in. Call right now. But make sure to let them know what you feel like they would do a good job of. But The next question, guys, I'm gonna switch it up because Scott I've had on before, and I know he's heard some of these questions already, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of a fun time here. What is one band that people wouldn't associate you listening to? It's not necessarily a guilty pleasure, but a band that people wouldn't be like, I know you listen to that band.
Ryan Cabrera.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't listen.
Not a
Well,
joke.
I should stipulate. I used to listen to him, and there's that one album that was like all over the radio, like when we were in high school or something. But I don't not like him now. He's just very cheesy. But he's got some okay songs. But I think it's funny just to be like, yeah, I used to listen to him. He's not influenced in my music. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff you used to listen to,
you could be influenced by Ryan Cabrera and not even know it.
Yeah, probably, right? Yeah. All like the sweet stuff that you write and you're like, I love you. It's like influenced by
Zach, Scott, Chase.
Sorry, am I like freezing up right now?
You're like a little jittery, but not freezing.
All right.
A little bit jitterbug.
Okay. I think it's because my phone is hot. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, feel free if anyone else
Yeah, I was
has.
gonna say, feel free to let
Okay,
anybody else answer. We can just
don't wait for
wait
me.
in deafening silence.
100 Gex.
Oh
my answer.
wow, okay, they're great. So okay,
I love them so much.
When I saw them for the first time, I thought it was like a joke. I thought it was like,
But it's not. That's the
I
thing.
guess
I don't
not.
know.
I know so many people who like them because I saw somebody sent me a video of their like song that was like in front of trucks, like semi-automatic
Oh,
trucks.
Yeah, it was their music video, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right, yeah, and I was like,
Reminds
is this like a parody of like all that music? Is this like a joke? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, okay. But so many people like it. I was like, all right.
All right, I'm actually putting the air conditioning on right now to try to cool my phone down.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, I suppose
now
I'll
it sounds
go
like you're in an air.
in light of that.
Okay, Scott. Chase, we can't hear you.
Okay, so we can only hear.
Hello?
Turn off the AC.
Oh my god.
Sounds like we're outside.
Guys, this interview is brought to you by a wind tunnel. Oh my god.
I think I'm good. I'm back.
Okay, Scott, you want to go while
Alright,
we're stuck in this
The air
tornado?
conditioning worked.
I'll go. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I guess I think about this stuff. I kind of regularly listen to. I find myself going back to kind of like more acoustic or like folky stuff. Like I even think like it's been a while since I've listened to them, but like Bon Iver, I go back and listen to like that kind of stuff, which is just more just like folky. That I don't know if people would get any of that kind of sense in my music, but I think about that kind of music. Like I guess I kind of think about that in conjunction of like some of the chiller bands I listen to. Like if I listen to like American football or something, like kind of lump those together. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be on the same playlist, and you wouldn't like.
Yeah,
match or anything.
probably more like folky stuff that I don't know if that comes out as much, but yeah, I don't know.
Chase.
So yeah, I was. It's because I watched this movie recently that it comes to mind. Blinded by the Light. It was about like a Pakistani kid who really gets into Bruce Springsteen. But like Born to Run like is one of the best records of all time. I can't say like overall like I'm like a massive Bruce fan. Like he was a big influence on like some of my like early songwriting, like 2010 kind of time for
Golden
me.
years.
The piano rock days. But I mean, I still stand by that's like it's such a it's an 8-track record and it's a classic, and like if you want to know how to write like a front to back record with like an awesome opener and an epic closer, like Born to Run, like just from a musical standpoint, genres aside, like the songwriting is just masterful. So
There you go, guys. Next question, another interesting one. Obviously, like we've been mentioning, you have a full length. What is one track that you want people to check out when the album comes out? What's your like go-to favorite track? I don't know if you have names for them yet, but you know, tell the people which one's your favorite, so they're stoked when it comes out.
I really like. I listen to this one a lot still, like the rough mix of it, Broken Glass. I really like it. Like it's basically a song that like it's just like a 2-movement song, and it just like starts as like a post-punk song, and then just goes into like our interpretation of like a hardcore punk song. And I just think it's really cool. Maybe it's bad, I don't know, but like
It's fun.
yeah, we have gang vocals on that shit, so I think people will like it.
I would agree with that one. I like that one a lot. That was going to be my choice.
Sorry.
I think mine is Losing Teeth, simply because it's like one of the most fun songs to play for
so
me
good.
now. And it's just fun, and I really want to be able to show how fun that is to people, and I hope it translates through the music.
The breakdown.
The breakdown's the best, the intro drum part's the best, everything's good. I love it.
Scott?
Yeah, I like all those songs too. I would say I like Come Home a lot. I like jokingly start it a lot in our practices, but yeah, I think that's got some of my favorite bass parts on it. That one I have a lot of fun with.
Technically that's actually not going to be on the record.
Oh,
No, it's gonna be okay. Listen, it's gonna be a physical. All right, I guess I'm announcing it sort of. We're releasing a physical maxi single for our single that just came out. I don't want to get ahead, but
Exclusives. We got the exclusives.
yeah, Come Home is gonna be an exclusive physical track on there, rather than being on the full length. Just because like I love that song, but I couldn't like kind of like find like a really good place for it in terms of like it like the album story. So it's gonna be released before, so like you'll be able to check it out if you buy the CD. Another thing I was gonna say, I know we only technically got one, but there's this track called Neglect that Matt sings like most of, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. Like that's that's like the Matt track, which
Matt track.
I think he does
Matt
really
track.
well on. Yeah, the Matt tracks. Yeah, I mean he has another, but you know that's the one.
That's the
There we
one
go.
you give him the most credit on. Just he's got 80% of the
Flex.
vocals. You know, you want to make
Go
sure.
the other song.
Yeah, whatever. Go with the Chase songs. That was the real takeaway from that was just like, you know what? You know, Matt's good, but like, you know, it's all about me. So
fine.
you know what? Listen, if you guys want to vote, the voting's still open now. So if you'd like to continue to vote throughout this entire interview, you know, make sure vote for him. Vote for Chase #1, vote for #2, Matt. You know, let the people know. Let the people know what's going on. Yeah, like hello, excuse me. Let people know what's going on. But next question, guys. A fun one as well. If you guys could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest vocalist or guest feature on your next record, or a producer you'd like to work with, would you be?
Chase,
So-
you're in a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. sorry.
Chase, you're in a wind tunnel, my guy. We're gonna take off. Like,
I'm turning the air down. It was to cool my phone off, and it worked. So
okay, there we go.
okay, that's better.
Yes.
All right. So we actually have technically we have a feature on the record. Susie from Heaviside is gonna sing on the closer. We actually it was an actual collaboration. I came to her with this song, and there's like it's at the very end, and there's like a chord progression that I had for her, and I didn't even tell her the lyrics to the song. I was like, I want you to write the last part of this song. You know what I mean? You're gonna get like these, 4 phrases or whatever, and then I kind of gave her the idea of the song, which was like, kind of like, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little like heady, but it's like it's essentially existential, and she came up with a really, really fantastic part, and it's like it sounds like I couldn't have written a better part. And Scott usually sings that part live, but yeah, Susie from Heaviside is an actual feature. If I could get anyone to just like do something on it, like I don't know. I mean, like, Jim
Slash.
Adkins is my god. I would ask Jim Adkins from Jimmy Eat World. That's it. So,
I
Anyone
feel like
else?
probably I would enjoy somebody who could like scream harder than me. Somebody who's like somebody from Snapcase. I don't know. He can just like scream through every song and it's like not bother him. Like, you do that. That'd be pretty cool.
yeah, Daryl or whatever his name is.
Daryl Hammond.
I'd want to get I think it'd be really cool to do like something with like Poppy or like Nicole Dollinger. I think I'm saying her name right. With this band, I think it'd be really sick to do like with like these really clean, beautiful sounding vocals, and then like have this chaos going on in the background. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, the contrast is great.
Scott.
Brandon, you asked me this question in my interview, and I don't think I had a good answer then. I don't know if I'm gonna have a good one now.
It's okay. Shoot. Tell
Yeah,
me
no
what's
pressure.
good. No pressure.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone just to collaborate with, maybe on my bass parts. Maybe I'd like to talk to Peter Hook.
Hell yeah.
Have him help me with, make sure our parts are good, or like, because that's where like the influence comes from, is his playing.
Right.
So I feel like for this band, that'd be my vote.
Peter Hook, baby, you hear us? Are you watching this right now?
Peter Hook, I know you're watching this.
Colin,
Yeah,
vote me, Peter Hook.
Jimmy Eat
I'm sure he
World,
has better things to
I
do.
know Jimmy Eat World. Are you at Jimmy Eat World?
Exactly.
Oh,
You got them on
the
speed dial, right?
Dragons.
Oh yeah, of
hold on a
course.
second.
They're gonna be on the next track. Yeah, Dream Attack. Yeah, get them on. Okay, cool.
We're gonna get Tom Linton. That's what's actually gonna happen. Like Jim Atkins isn't gonna be able to do it, so
Like,
Tom Linton's gonna be like,
Tom?
"I'll put my I can finally sing on a record again."
You're like, oh, I guess we'll get. I mean, if we have to, we'll
Sure.
get
We
Tom.
really
Sure.
wanted Jim, but
But next question, guys. Another fun one. If you were to pick a dream tour lineup, who would be on it? Obviously, your band's on it. I feel like to make it more interesting, each one of you get one band, and that will be your tour.
So one band each, right? Just
Yes,
sorry.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. You can't pick for everybody, Chase. I know that's
Yeah.
what you really wanted, but
No.
too bad.
too bad.
All right. Do they have to be active?
We'll say We'll say active.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
it would make
all right.
more sense.
Yeah, true. Oh shit! Actually, that actually takes out my choice. All right, give me like a second.
Yeah, it takes up
And
mine too. Oh man, I want to tour with Full of Hell because their shows just look amazing and so full of energy, and I want to like, and I love them, so like I feel like that would be a dream for me with this band specifically.
Scott, Chase.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're a pretty young like hardcore band right now. One Step Closer. They've been getting like some good like you know what I mean like deserved hype. They're a fantastic band, and I think we would mesh well with them. Yeah. So one step closer. Yeah, One Step Closer. Yeah.
I would probably say Low Dose. They're like a Philly band. They're pretty good. I really like them. They're really nice people, and they know how to play, so it'd be fun to just always be around them, watching them play.
Scott.
I guess I'll go against the grain a little bit. I don't know if Hell's a young band, but all these young bands. I was thinking it would be cool, I guess, for the direction we want to go in, even playing with Helmet. Helmet would be cool.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know?
good tour.
Yeah, I think it would be. Like all those bands together, and then
Right.
yeah, I think that'd be cool.
There we go, guys. Well, if you'd like to purchase tickets to this awesome show, it'll be locked and loaded
Dial
for
in.
2022. Since we don't know, 2021 could be out of the question. So don't want to just assume that that's going to happen. But next question, guys. We already talked about a dream tour lineup. In your opinion, who puts on a great live performance?
Oh my.
Okay, Turnstile. I saw them at the Why Not lot at the free show in Baltimore. Me and my sister drove down, like I guess it was 2.5 or 3 hours to see them. I mean, like if you watch any of their like Hey 5 6 videos, it's like really obvious that they're fucking fantastic, like both musically and like as performers. Like, Franz literally doing front flips with his bass into the crowd, like crushing heads and like not giving a shit. Like that, it's badass. Yeah, and I fucked up my back at that show, real bad, but it was so worth it. It was just like it was wild. It was wild. Like whenever there's like real crowd participation and people want to be doing it, like that's the magic I feel like some bands like strive to capture, and they got it. So
I really enjoyed Ceremony. I would even tour with them too. Ceremonies.
oh yeah,
We saw them like twice. You probably saw them with me, but we drove to like New York at like 11 and left at like 4 in the morning
oh my
just
god,
to see like an after show of theirs.
right.
It was great. Both times was just like really fun.
They have a really good mix of sounds that I think like just like kind of makes for a good show, because like there's like breathing room between the like I need to head walk on everybody, and then there's like their new wave shit where you're like, let's just dance like normies, it's not a big deal.
Scott or Zach?
I've always felt like inspired by shows where people like can be alone on stage and like still make it interesting. So like I feel like a lot of times I look at like performances by rappers or like electronic musicians where they're have this whole amazing production behind them, and it's just them or maybe like two other people or something, and it's I don't know, like I've been watching a lot of Grimes live sets recently, and like I think that is like, in terms of personal goals, I feel like putting on a show where you could like use all the technology that we've gathered over the last 50 years and utilize it in a way that could make a show unique and exciting, I think would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of those people just have like fantastic presence and like star power. Like as soon as they like step on the stage, you just like feel like you're witnessing something, and I feel like that's a fantastic personal goal, to just be able to like try to chase that energy. I haven't even thought about that really, but you're right, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that star power. That's what I was going to mention too. Chase and I have probably seen him play like 10 times or something, but I was going to say Saves a Day. It's always like just great. Like as soon as they come on, like it's like from start to finish, everyone's just like in it and going crazy, and like, yeah, it's probably some of the best show experiences I've had all around.
Right, and not to mention they always pack their sets. Like even if they're opening, it's like they still will play like 20 songs. Last, like just like hard working ass live musicians.
Yeah, I watched that one set. I think it was on This Is Hardcore when, well, it was Hey 5 6, but it was for This Is Hardcore Fest, and I was just like...
You probably saw me a couple times.
I probably saw Chase a couple times because it was just nuts, that show. Like, I've seen them play a handful of times, but that show was just wild, and I'm glad they were able to, like, encapsulate that because he does a fantastic job, too. But, the next thing, guys, what would be one album that you wished that you wrote? Like one album that comes to mind that you were like, I wish I wrote that record. That would have been sick.
I already know, like immediately, Boxcar Racer, self-titled. That it just, it was just such, like, I don't know. It was like such a unique time in Tom DeLonge's career, and just like pulling like from that like a very similar era that we did, and then just like injecting it into his style, like his Blink style, like songwriting. If you watch there's a good documentary about it actually. The Ernie Ball one that he did, he talks about Boxcar Racer at length. And I feel like times to make records like that might almost be dead. You know what I mean? Like just like these weird magical times and capturing like lightning in a bottle, but like that's one I really, really wish I wrote.
Mine would be Magnified by Failure. It's the one that I mentioned earlier that kind of changed how I thought about music and was writing. that one is just very dear to my heart. So it's like exactly the type of music that I would like want to put out.
Scott, you go first. I gotta look through my Spotify.
I love that one. I love that one. I love that one.
I'd probably say like the record play by Mock Orange. It's just like
Great record.
just a great album front to back. I feel like it's a really underrated emo album, but like, yeah, whenever I listen to that, I'm just like, this is so good all the way through. I wish I could write something like this fluid, you know?
Yeah.
It's just,
I mean, yeah, that's a big influence, I think, like on all of our, you know what I mean, songwriting almost permanently. Like I basically like learned like the emo style start and stop kind of vibe from them. You know, I don't know if I'll get flack from this for if anybody cares, but I think Mock Orange did stop start emo way better than Braid did. That's all. I don't know if that's a hot take. If there's enough news to
We'll
care
find
about
out. I don't know.
Call in, vote for Matt.
Vote
If
good.
you don't, you disagree,
I can
you're
just
gonna
see the
have to vote for
Matt votes skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, bad
I'm
mouth Braid.
looking at the polls right now, and that's what it's telling me. So,
Oh man.
Sorry,
how much do
Braid.
you want to donate? Let's see.
what was that, Matt? You wanted Matt? Okay, cool. Zach, shoot.
There is a record by this Philly band called Big Nothing, called Chris, that came out in 2019. That sounded they I don't know if they draw this comparison or if publications do, but sounding like Replacements-esque indie punk, kind of just like jangly, low, not super low energy, but like low energy vocals and like 3 different vocalists, and I love that a whole lot.
There we go. Awesome, guys. Next question, my personal favorite, because I'm a nerd and I love asking it. If you guys could be a video game character, who would you be?
Your game character.
My character in Animal Crossing.
I knew somebody was gonna say that, so I had a feeling.
Of course, of course.
Fair
Is it the
enough.
same answer if I say
I
my
can have
character
another
from The
answer.
Sims? You know?
Yeah.
But like, no, actually, Dante from Devil May Cry.
Okay.
He's just like one of
Okay.
the coolest video game characters of all time. Like, I remember just like playing the first one when I was like 11 or something, and I was just like, one day I'm gonna be that cool. Probably didn't happen, but you know.
I think it'd be cool to be Ash Ketchum because you get to play with Pokemon.
Yeah, baby.
There you go.
In my lap.
Scott.
One of my favorite games is still like Final Fantasy X. Like I always really liked Tidus. Like I don't know, I just thought it'd be cool to have this fucking like big sword and just
Overalls or whatever he wears.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever he wears.
You can do the overalls. I don't know about the giant sword. That might be very interesting in this day and age. Could do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, Scott. I'm just saying the overalls seem like the safer option currently.
Fair enough. I guess I probably couldn't board a plane with it, huh?
Yeah, they
So
hate overalls.
who's me to tell you what to do with your life? So you can go do whatever you want. And then the last thing, guys, the most important thing, tell them about Dream Attack, where they can find you on social media, and anything coming up in the foreseeable future.
All right, so right now we have a single that by the time this interview is out, will be on all streaming services. There should be also, by the time this is out, a physical copy that you can order on our Bandcamp that will have an exclusive B-side, "Come Home," as Scott mentioned. It's a great track. Yeah, we're working on a record. It might not be out for a while, again, because of all the uncertainty. We're hunkering down though. I'm writing new music somehow. It's just like, you know, it's happening naturally, so I'm gonna let it happen. But yeah, check out the single. You know, it's a great single, "Dissolve." You know, you can give us a like on Facebook, give us a follow on Instagram, Dream Attack with a 3, or just search up Dream Attack and it'll probably come up. But yeah, that's where you can find us. That's the stuff we have out right now, and we're very proud of it. And we all worked very hard, and I'm very proud of these people in front of me. Yeah, my best friends, and they I think they all deserve that you listen to their work. Hold on, there's a dog with a tutu on. Can you see it?
That's great.
What the heck?
There it is.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, Dream Attack. Yeah, forget about Dream Attack. There's
Yeah,
a
dog with a tutu is the most important thing.
I
But
think Dog with the Tutu just skyrocketed in the polls.
yeah,
I
that
think we're
was
done.
that he's the third well, he's the winner. You know what?
He's now our vocalist.
He's now
Dog with the tutu.
Yeah.
He's now a
Okay.
vocalist. Matt and Chase are now backup vocalists to the dog with the tutu. So, you know, polls are closing soon, so make sure to get your last votes in. But in all seriousness, I don't typically like asking this question, but I'm very curious about the answer. Is where did you get the name Dream Attack from? Because typically I don't like asking bands where they get the name from because I just feel like it's cliche and whatever.
Right.
But how did that name convention come about? And I guess, was it more of a collective choice, or were you all like, what do you think we should name our band or something like that?
Right. So, obviously we've gone through name changes. This one, it's like, I'm going to disappoint you with this answer.
It's okay. It's all right.
Because it's actually just a reference. It's a New Order song from my favorite New Order record.
Oh, okay.
It's Dream Attack. It's on Technique, fantastic record. I recommend you listen to it. You got a lot of time. Quarantine people, just pop that in. The first track's kind of weird, but like once you get into it, you get into it. Yeah, so it's a reference to New Order. I don't want to say obviously there are other bands who do that same, lift a song from a band that they like. But yeah, and I was just I don't know, that always just kind of gave me good visual, mental food. Whenever I think about it, I even have to wrap my head around what that means exactly.
There we go. Well, the mystery is solved. Now, if you can, get some sleep, knowing that you know where the name came from and that your boy asked it for stupid reasons. So,
no, you're good, man.
go check out Dream Attack. Links will be in the description where you find out about their band, their music. Hopefully, they'll be doing shows soon-ish. Fingers crossed. Hope everybody is staying safe out there, but make sure to go subscribe to their YouTube channel, which I would assume they have. I don't know, so I'm just gonna put that out in the ether. That hopefully by this time there will be a YouTube channel that I can link to people. So go check them out. They've been a good part of the fam for many years now at this point. So I gotta give them the love. But if you enjoyed this interview, share it, like and subscribe. It goes a long way. Make sure to go tweet at Jimmy Eats World so you guys can get the ultimate collaboration between Dream Attack and Jimmy Eat World, the two emo titans right now. You need to get them in line and going on. And then the last thing, guys, is make sure to get your votes in. Vote for either Matt by dialing 2, or you dial 1 for Chase. Remember, all of your votes count.
Of course. And don't forget about dialing 3 for Tutu Dog.
And, yeah, if you dial 3 for Tutu Dog, that's an automatic win. So don't do that unless you feel like you need to. But thanks, of course, to Dream Attack for coming on and chatting. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Love you, Brandon.
Thanks.